Howdy gang, I am going to bring you this beast of a pattern shawl. Don't get intimidated by what I just said, okay? When I say it's a beast, it needs a lot of yarn. So I have one more wedge that I need to do with this. And this is the yarn that I'm using, which is a Universal Yarn Colorburst, which I got from my landlady's knit shop. And this is 660 yards, and I still need some out of this to finish this wedge. So this would be great with like 2 skeins of the Shawl In A Cake. You can eliminate it because I know many of you are like me and bought a buttload of it when it was on sale. Same thing with Mandala. This would be great with Mandala. Anything that you have that, even if you have scrap yarn and you want to do it with scrap yarn and do each wedge different colors, this is totally versatile as far as a pattern with how you want to work your color scheme. So I'm going to jump right into it. This is what I call the Hourglass shawl. And the reason why, I'm going to try and show you as much as I can, even though it's still on here. It's worked in short rows, but the reason why I call it the Hourglass shawl is I have 3 wedges that, you know, are going this way, where they're getting bigger this way, and then I flip it kind of like an hourglass in the center, how it goes big and then it goes little and then it goes big again. So once I have these 3 wedges going this way, I have 1 wedge going this way. This middle section is a netted area. That goes, I can't open it up all the way because it's still on here and it's kind of awkward. So this middle section actually elongates a little bit because even though it's the same number of pegs, the yarn overs and everything, you know, open it up a little bit more. And then you have another one like this. Okay. Then after those 3, we swap it. And instead of it opening up large that way, it's going to open up large this way. Okay, so like an hourglass does. And again, you guys really can't see too much because it's still on here, but you'll kind of get the idea once it's done. So you can see this 3rd wedge right here going from little all the way up to big, and then I I flipped it and now I'm going this direction, so it's big on this side. So you can see short rows are smaller over here and they're larger over here. So that's where I swapped it. Now for this particular one, I am using my KB all-in-one 3/8 gauge. If you have your all-in-one, great. If you have your multi-loom, great. I have something already else working on my multi-loom, never a dull moment. Which is why I chose to use this, but it's the same. If you want to use a thicker yarn and you want a wider gauge, you could totally do that. If you want to go bigger, if you have the adjustable multi-loom and you want to go super big, this is really big with 106 on the all-in-one. By the time I'm done, it's going to be huge. You could totally make this as big or as small as you like. Okay, so I'm going to jump right into the pattern and explain this because you guys know me well enough to know that I like to break it down to where it's completely understandable, to where my husband can understand it. Okay, so this is done in short rows. If you've done a 10 stitch, if you've done my short row scarf, anything like that, then my zigzag scarf, you already know short rows. Okay, so what I did is I did the verbiage here explaining each wedge. So we have an E-wrap, and I did this E-wrap instead of regular knit because I noticed with the regular knit it was just way too tight, and I really wanted something that was light and opened up and wrapped around nicely for us big girls. Hey, give a shout out to the big girls. Hey. So E-wrap wedge 1 is this first section right here. Okay, so this here is the E-wrap garter section. So I just did an E-wrap in one direction and then a traditional purl on the way back. Then we have wedge 2, which is the netted section, which is this right here. And you'll notice that this section, like I was explaining, this isn't blocked or anything obviously yet. This is the same amount of pegs with this, but it's much wider than this here because it's stretchable. Okay. And then we have wedge 3, which is the same thing as wedge 1. And that is where we get to this point where it says, this is where we shop short, take 2. This is where we swap the short row direction, meaning on this particular one that I'm working on, this is my starting peg here, which is why I put a tape there. Before it was my starting peg here, but now I've swapped. So before I was going in this direction and then putting my stitch markers here as I was working. Now I've swapped. This is my starting peg, and then I've used my short rows going in this direction. That's why I have this stitch marker here. And we're breaking this down. Instead of doing it every peg, you're going to use every 2 pegs. And what I mean by that is, let me turn this around. There's a lot I got to grab and move around. So this was my last peg here. So as you can see, I have 2 strands on that one, but then the one next to it, I only have 1. 2 strands on that one, 1, 2 strands on that one, 1. Okay, that's because when I came back in this direction, which I'm E-wrapping in this direction and I'm purling back, when I came to my last one, I did a turn and wrap, but I did not knit off. And you guys will see that in here. Do not knit off. I don't mean that in a mean voice. I'm just enunciating it so that people go, well, I didn't understand and I knit it off and it doesn't look right. Don't knit it off. Okay. So then after I turned and wrapped on that one, then I purled all the way back. And this is the netted section that I'm working on. And when you purl back, you're obviously going to have empty pegs. You're going to just put the yarn in front of those and just keep working it. And then when I come back, I move it. When I come back this way, I'm going to turn and wrap on this one. Then I'm going to purl this one off, and then I'm going to move these stitch markers that were originally here 2 pegs over. Okay. So I explained that here in the written pattern. But what I've done also is, because I know that a lot of you are like me and you like your visuals. So my printer is running out of ink. I have to apologize ahead of time. You have a legend on here that shows what you're supposed to knit, what you're supposed to purl, your yarn over, no stitch, E-wrap, purl 2 together, and your turn and wrap. And it even says, do not knit off. Okay. So, when you guys print this off or you download it, this area here is going to be gray. I have to change the ink in my printer again. I apologize. But these here, and I even say, here we go. I even say over here, I created these as a visual for you guys, but obviously it's not 106 pegs wide. I think I only did like 15. Yeah, I did 15. Just so you guys had an idea of what I was talking about. Obviously, if you're going to use all 106 like I did on this, this would be 106 wide. But I only did 15. Just, again, so you guys get the gist of the idea. So, let's pretend this is 106. So, I'm going to do this 106. I'm going to get to my last peg. I'm just going to turn and wrap it, but I'm not going to knit it off. Then I'm going to purl back. Then my next row, I'm going to E-wrap. And I'm going to, my stitch marker is now going to get moved. Then I'm going to turn and wrap. So you're just going to do that. And just remember, this is every 2, I put it on here, but it's every 2 that your stitch marker will move to, you know, make it work up looking like this. So this is wedge 1 and 3, and then this is the middle section, which is the netted wedge, which is 2. Now, on this side, you'll see it's the opposite direction because that's where we did that switch. Okay, so that's why I put these visuals on here to help you guys understand. Even though it looks a little complicated and I make it sound a little complicated, it's really easy. It's just a matter of, because this being so big, this is a project that, I mean, if you're okay with doing big projects and knocking them all out at once, you go right on ahead. This is probably something that some people would want to work on a couple hours and then put it aside, do something small, and then come back. another yarn that would look really great with this, and I'm looking at it right here, is if I know a lot of people got some of these True Boos when they were on sale from Lion Brand. These would look great with it. ZZ Twist. If anybody got any of these from Hobby, these will look great with it. Lots of options. So for those of you who have thinner yarn and not 100% sure what you want to do with it, now you have something to do with it. Okay, so take your time with this. Obviously, if you guys have any questions whatsoever, you're welcome to ask me about it. I will be happy to explain it to you, but it's really it's very simple. It's just, I call it a beast because it will take a lot of yarn and a lot of patience to do. But once I'm done with this, which isn't going to be too long from now, I'm going to take a picture and you guys are going to see how awesomely incredible it looks. That's why the coming soon is here, because I'm still working on it. You'll see how incredible it actually looks and how big it is, and you guys are just going to love it. So there you go. Thank you so much to every single one of you who love me enough to continue to support me and be my patron and hang in there with me, because you guys are the reason why I do this. I love to create, and I love knowing that people, I don't even know the word I'm looking for, that you value my work enough to want to support me. So thank you bunches. I love you all. I'm going to have this beast done within the next day or so. I'm going to be grinding away at it to get it done, get some really nice pictures. And I can't wait to see what everybody does with it. I'm so super excited about this one. All right, gang, have a great one. Happy looming, and I will talk with you soon.